Hey everybody, welcome back for another video. If you're new here, my name is Toni and I'm a homeschooling mom of 4 kids, and my channel is Our Thrifty Homeschool. So on my channel you'll find different thrift store finds and thrift store makeovers and things like that, and also a lot of curriculum review. So that's what we're doing today, is reviewing curriculum. So I did a curriculum review recently on the Heart of Dakota Creation to Christ curriculum, and a lot of people really enjoyed seeing the inside of that. So I'm going to go ahead and continue reviewing the rest of the levels that I have, because we have done, I believe, from grades 1 through 5 for Heart of Dakota. So I'm going to go ahead and keep reviewing those levels so you guys can see a sneak peek inside of the curriculum and what all is involved with that. So today we're going to look at the next one. So Creation to Christ was the first one, and I'll go ahead and link that in the comments below. But today we are going to be reviewing Preparing Hearts for His Glory. So the first one, Creation to Christ, was for the 5th grade level. About. It depends on where your child is at, but typically for the average child, this one also, it says it's for ages 8 to 10, so typically this would work with a 9-year-old, which is usually about 4th grade. So if you want to see inside of Preparing Hearts for His Glory and all the cool, beautiful books that go along with it, stay tuned. Heart of Dakota. If you have not heard of Heart of Dakota or just not super familiar with it, it is a literature-based, very history-heavy Christian curriculum. It's so good. It's so rich. It is definitely one of my favorites that we've done over the years. The cool thing is each level comes with a guidebook. So this is like your teacher guide, this is your student book, your student guide. Everything you need, except for the books that you're going to be reading, is in here, which is pretty cool. And I will show a close-up of the inside of this in a couple minutes. So this level, the nice thing about the Preparing Hearts for His Glory is this is the first level where the child really works independently. So grades 1, 2, and 3, there's a lot of interaction with mom, and most of the subjects and things that they're doing, they do with mom. So it is, if you have multiple kids for the younger levels, it can be time consuming just with mom having to work with everybody. So this was such a blessing. Last year when I had 3 kids doing Heart of Dakota, my 4th grader was doing this, and then I had 4th, 2nd, and kindergarten, and the kindergarten book was pretty quick, so I guess we did do kindergarten. So we've done the levels kindergarten through 5th grade actually, but the kindergarten level was very quick and easy and fun. It didn't take a whole lot of time for mom, but it was you and the child doing it together the whole time. And then my 2nd grader also, like a lot of the stuff we did together. So the 4th grader, she just opened her book and she did the lessons. And there was only a couple things, I think, I'll show you in a minute, a close-up of this, but basically this is how it's set up. They open the book and they have a 2-page spread. This is one day. So everything they're gonna do is already written out on this one page. You don't need to worry about adding in other things and wondering if, oh, is this enough? This really is a complete curriculum, which is awesome. So they have little notes on the boxes that tell you if they need the teacher with it, or if the student can do it by themselves. So there's a T for teacher, there's an S for semi-independent, and then there's an I for independent. So in this level, they have a reading about history box, which is teacher, and I'll show you the stack of books that go with that. That is the history books that the mom will read to the child. And then afterwards, there's usually a narration. This is very Charlotte Mason in how you read the literature together, you read the different history books and things like that together, and then you just have them narrate, or you ask questions or different things like that. There's not go take a test on this. That's not the way this curriculum works. So that is something to keep in mind if you like tests in history and science and things like that. This does not have that. This is more a Charlotte Mason style. So the reading about history box The books that we used for reading about history were, the main spine is called A Child's History of the World. And this was actually really good. We really liked it. It's not colorful or anything. It's just, I mean, it's got some little drawings, but for the most part, it's just written text. But I thought it was really good, and it wasn't boring. So we liked that. One of the other ones we did, I'm really bummed I couldn't find it. I wrote it down on a piece of paper so I didn't forget to mention it, but it's called Grandpa's Box, and we loved it so much that once we were done with the curriculum, I think I was packing it all up, and my daughter was like, oh, can I read this again? And I said, sure, just make sure it gets back in the box, or make sure it gets back on the shelf. Well, I couldn't find it this morning when I was trying to get everything together. It did not make it back in the box. But Grandpa's Box is so good. It's this really cool book about, it's like these two kids that go over to Grandpa's house after school, and Grandpa tells them, always has a story to tell. And it's always a history story, and then it's woven into Bible, woven into it too. And it was just so fun. It was a really fun read. So that was a really cool book, and I'm gonna have to find it. It's in our house somewhere. Another one that we did was Hero Tales. This was really good too. It says family treasure, a family treasury of true stories from the lives of Christian heroes. So this was, I mean, this talked about Amy Carmichael, Martin Luther, Dwight L. Moody, Harriet Tubman, like a lot of evangelists and missionaries and different things, and their stories. This was really, really good. We really liked this. And then this was the other book that was part of the reading about history, Life in the Great Ice Age, and this was interesting too. I don't remember learning a whole lot about the Ice Age, so this was cool, and this had a lot of neat pictures and different things in here. So we really liked this. This one didn't take a whole lot of time to get through, but it was a really good read too. So those are all the things that were involved in the reading about history, which is just mom sitting and reading with the child. And I love that. That was something that I really enjoy, sitting with my child on the couch, especially when you have multiple kids. You know, I've got 4 kids, and so the one-on-one time, especially with the oldest, is really precious, and I really enjoyed that. So that was really cool. Then there's usually a history project after that, which could be anywhere from just something on a piece of paper to an actual project that they make. This is semi-independent, but for the most part, my daughter was able to do this on her own. Sometimes she would ask me to clarify things, but for the most part, she was able to figure this out and do that on her own. So some of the semi-independent boxes were actually pretty independent. Okay, so the independent history part is something that they do completely on their own, and you have this nice stack of books here that they work throughout the year. So the different books are The Minstrel and the Tower. This is a really quick little book. They have The Trojan Horse. So these 2 books are obviously pretty easy reads, especially for a 4th grader for the most part. But that was a really good one about how the Greeks won the war. There's Pedro's Journal, A Voyage with Christopher Columbus. That was a good story. This one was Little Miriam of Galilee. It was about the story about Miriam from the Bible. And my daughter really enjoyed that one too. The next book is Mozart, the Wonder Boy. And this was a whole book about Mozart and the story of his life. It's got all kinds of different songs in here. And them to be able to just see that. There's also a CD that went along with it that played Mozart's music that they could listen to while they were reading, or listen to it. I think they probably assigned it in different parts, but that's something they just completely did on their own, which was really neat. There was another book called The Little Riders, and this was about the Second World War and Germany and Nazis and all that stuff. So this was an interesting little quick read. It was just a little chapter book. Then another book that would be assigned in there is Draw and Write Through History, and I really like this. They do this in the next level too, and this is really cool. It's got step-by-step pictures of teaching them how to draw different things, and then it's handwriting also, because it has either Bible verses or stories or different things, but it taught them how to draw really cool things. I was really impressed by some of her drawings, and then what she would be able to write in practicing her handwriting cursive after that. So that was really fun. Draw and Write Through History. There's William Shakespeare and the Globe, and this was a nice, cool book. I believe had this had lots of good pictures in it too. Okay. There's also Leif the Lucky, and this is one of those books. They have a whole series by this author, and they just have beautiful pictures inside. So this is a story about Leif the Lucky and the Vikings, and it's got all kinds of cool pictures inside. So that was a neat, quick read. Most of these were pretty quick for this level. The independent history study were pretty quick little books. They weren't like super long chapter books. There's a book on Peter the Great, which also, these are all nice living books with lots of pictures. So that was another good one. And then this one is called The 5,000-Year-Old Puzzle, Solving a Mystery of Ancient Egypt. And my daughter loved this book and read it a handful of times. She was very into learning about Egypt and pyramids and different things. And she also was a big mystery. She loved mystery books and solving mysteries, and any mystery movie that she could watch and get her hands on, she loved. And this was kind of a book that walked them through being able to help solve this mystery. It's got all kinds of cool pictures and drawings in here, and she just loved this. She was always talking about how fun this book was. So anyway, this was really cool. So, okay, then the last one is The Young Christian's Introduction to the Bible. This was really cool. This was the first year that for Bible, they actually were doing their devotions on their own, and not just go read this verse, but they actually taught them how to study the Bible. And this was a really cool book to be able to teach them that, because at this level, at grade 4, is a good place to start really studying the Bible on your own. For the most part, they're confident readers at that point, and this was really cool to be able to get her into really studying the Bible, and that's part of the curriculum. So that's the independent history study. So the next thing that they had is called story time. And story time is another teacher box. So this is something that there was a book that was assigned, and it would be mom and child sitting there reading together. And I always liked story time. That was really cool. So here's the story time books that I will share with you. So there's 20 and 10, The Family Under the Bridge. These are all pretty well-known books. We had not read any of them before, but I had heard of them. The Wonderful Winter, The Door in the Wall. These all had to do with whatever we were studying in history. It was all lined up to just come together, which was really cool. Raiders of the Sea, or Raiders from the Sea, the Viking Quest series. This was, I think, by far our favorite. This was such a good book, and it we wanted to read the second book once we were done with this, and she had me check it out at the library. We had to request it from another library to get it, and she couldn't wait to get the second book in, just so that we could keep finding out what happens to this girl. This was really, really good. Fountain of Life. This was a story about Eli and someone living in Jesus' time, which was really cool. A Triumph for Flavius. Tirzah, she really liked this one too. This was a neat story. And then The True Story of Noah's Ark. This was a very cool book. I'll give you a peek inside of this. Yeah, there's a CD. This is actually the audiobook with music. We never used that, but you could. But this goes through the measurements and all the specific stuff about building the ark, but the pictures are so beautiful. And there's a page in here that folds out like this and shows you the whole ark, which was pretty neat. We liked this. This was pretty cool. But the drawings are just beautiful. This was really cool. I liked this book a lot, so that was really neat. And then the last one was The Classic Treasury of Aesop's Fables, which we'd heard some of these stories, and she kind of liked that she's like, oh, I know that one. But we've never actually read this book before, so this was really cool, and this had a lot of good pictures in it too. So we loved all these books. Were so beautiful. They were really pretty and fun to read. So that's story time with mom. So the next box is a semi-independent box, which is the research box. And this box actually was a rotating box. So one day it would be research, one day it would be timeline, one day it would be vocabulary, one day it would be geography. So it was actually different every day of the week. This is a 4-day-a-week curriculum. So they knew, you know, if you're going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they know, oh, here comes, come Tuesday, I will be doing vocabulary or whatever it is. So this was really for us, for the most part, it was an independent box, even though it says semi-independent. The research, she was able to just look it up and do it on her own and then just share with me. It asks specific questions, and it was kind of a neat introduction to the computer. She hadn't really used the computer for research or anything like that before. So, and then it gives her questions, specific questions to answer, so that she's not just like copying down whatever blurb they wrote about that topic. So she actually really enjoyed research and thought she was big stuff using the computer. So, so that was cool. And then there's a timeline that she pretty much would do. It tells you what exactly to write and where to put it in your timeline. And then vocabulary, there were 3 to 5 vocabulary words from the Child's History of the World book. And it would tell them to pick, usually we only did 3 just because she kind of hated vocabulary. But she's supposed to pick one of these words that they didn't know from the reading from that day, find it in here. They had to write down on a note card the word, the definition. They had to copy the sentence from the book or come up with their own sentence. And then they had a nice little pack of words at the end of the year that they had learned from vocabulary. And then geography, that is something that we did together because we talked about things on the globe and different stuff like that. So that was the one thing that was really, she did need me for, but the other stuff she really could do on her own, which was pretty cool. Okay, so the last section that the child does independently that has a bunch of books with it is the science section. So I'm going to show you what came with the science section. So we have the Great Dinosaur Mystery and the Bible, and this has a lot of really good pictures in it, and just talks about what the Bible says about dinosaurs and what we should believe about dinosaurs. That was kind of a good book. I didn't read these with her, so I just know from what she told me about them and the assignments that she did with it, but this is something she did independently. This was for a little space unit that they studied for. It's called Finding the Constellations, and this is written by H.A. Ray, which is the same author as the Curious George books. So I was really excited because I love Curious George, and I didn't know that he wrote other books, so I thought that was kind of cool. So this is set up just like the other Curious George books, except it's about constellations and stuff. But she really enjoyed this and being able to, they had her assignments where she had to draw the constellations and different things. So she really liked that. This is a book on Columbus, which is the same author as Lake the Lucky book. So this was on Columbus, and this has lots of good pictures, color pictures. It's got black and white pictures, really good drawings, and it's a really big book. So I don't know, it's a cool book. She liked that. Then we have a Who Was, which is, there's a whole series called Who Was books. This one is Who Was Leonardo da Vinci, and this is just a chapter book. It's got some pictures in it, but this is all black and white. Pastures Fight Against Microbes. This is just a quick little chapter book with some pictures in it, but that was good. She actually really liked that. I kind of was surprised, but she really enjoyed that. And then they have 3 of these from the One Small Square is what it's called, and my daughter's actually enjoyed these. They've used these in the other guidebooks too, and my other daughter liked them too. So this one is One Small Square Coral Reef. Then they've got One Small Square Arctic Tundra, and then there's another one, One Small Square Cactus Desert. And I don't know if it just didn't make it in the box or what, but I didn't see that one. So, but these just have really pretty pictures, and it's just a cool way to zoom in on nature and look at just one little piece of it instead of, I don't know, it was a neat perspective. So that was cool. Those books are really good. And then, so in the science exploration box, just like all the other boxes, there's a key idea, which is kind of just a summary of what they learned in their lesson that day or what they should have learned in their lesson. So the assignments that go along with science sometimes are to read your book and narrate to your mom or dad what you learned, narrate a portion about what it was about. This is, like I said, in the history, this is very Charlotte Mason and a lot of narration rather than written work. But science also did have where you put together a science notebook and you did have to answer questions sometimes. It just depended on what the assignment was. This one had something where you copy the paragraph from one of these books into your science notebook, orally narrate. This one has 5 different questions that you're supposed to answer. So the assignments are different each day. Sometimes there is a science experiment that they would do also, which for the most part she really did on her own, unless she needed help getting something ready. But that's pretty much what the assignments looked like for science. Okay, so here is a look at the teacher's guide for Preparing Hearts for His Glory. All the pages look the same. I'll just show you one day. So these 2 pages is what they will do in one day. If you see here, it'll say what unit. We've got unit 13, day 4. This side of the page is for learning about history, and it tells you what it's focusing on. And this page here is on learning the basics, which is language arts, math, Bible, and science. So they even have it separated where this whole thing is history and this is the rest of the subjects. And then this here says unit 13, day 4. So what they will do, they could really do this in any order that you want them to, but they're just going to go through here. Here's reading about history where they'll read this, and then there's the assignment, whether it's narration or something written. Tells you if we've got, if you need your teacher for it, or if it's semi-independent, or some of these are independent. So the reading about history is what we talked about with all those books. Story time is going to be reading with mom, and it tells you a lot of times about narrating after the fact. And there's the key idea underneath of each box. This is the rotating box that is either timeline, geography, vocabulary, or research. So that box is going to rotate. All the other boxes are going to be the same every single day. So this box is semi-independent, but some of the assignments are actually pretty independent, depending on your child and their abilities. The history project is also semi-independent, but like I said, my daughter, for the most part, was able to do these by herself. So this gives the exact directions on what exactly they should do. It's very straightforward and easy. Most of the materials that you need for these also are just household things that you would normally have anyway. So there are times when what you do this day is also going to carry on to the next day. Sometimes history projects take a few days. So this one here at the end says, lay the paper flat to dry until day 2. And then on day 2, it'll give you further instructions. This is independent history study down here. This is completely independent. So this is what they will read, and then it tells them what their assignment is to do there. And then on this side, they've got poetry. All the poetry is in the back of the book. They just have the poems all written out here. This year, all the poems were by Robert Louis Stevenson. And they would just work on a poem each day. And so a lot of times for poetry, they'll read the poem. You might ask them questions, or one of the fun things that it had them do was it would say, read the poem to someone, like call grandma on the phone, or we do the Marco Polo app, and so they would sometimes pull up the Marco Polo app and read their poem to a friend, or read it to grandma or somebody like that. And that was kind of fun. It just mixed things up. Then we've got our language arts box, and this has dictation, which is spelling, or you could do your own spelling program, but we did dictation. All the dictation is also in the back of the book here. So this is the dictation. It's got all these sentences that you just read and they write it down. It actually has them study, it has directions here, but it has them study the dictation passage for a few minutes before you read it to them. So I always make sure that are you sure you're ready? And then when they're ready, I take this and I read it to them, and then they write it down. And then if they don't get it right, the next day they do the dictation, the same exact passage again, and they're supposed to keep doing that until they get it right. I don't know if we've ever had to do more than 2 days of it, but it was a good way, different way to do spelling. We liked it. Then reading, they say Drawn into the Heart of Reading, just the Heart of Dakota reading program, but you could also do your own thing, and we did not start Drawn into the Heart of Reading until this year. If you want to see what that looks like, I'm going to link my Creation to Christ video in the comment section here, and in that I showed a closer look at what the Drawn into the Heart of Reading program looks like. But we actually used Christian Light Education reading, so you use whatever reading you want to do, but when it's in this box, just make sure you do your reading. And then complete one English lesson which would be whatever grammar program that you use. So you don't have to use theirs, what they recommend. So that's language arts, which is, depending on what you use, semi-independent to independent. Then Bible study is something that they do. They read it. This they do on their own. It'll have them sometimes copy the verse. Oh, it had a commonplace book, which was really cool. It was just we used a composition book, and they would have them write stuff in their commonplace book, and it was just a special thing to keep, that you write Bible verses in and different things that you're supposed to write in that. So that was kind of a neat keepsake thing. So they had them do that throughout the whole year, and then that's when they would do their the CD with the songs on it, the verses that are put to song. So that was that. And then math, you just use whatever math program you want to use. They recommend Singapore or your own math. And we also used Christian Light Education for ours, but you can use whatever works for you. And then this is the science exploration box, which is also completely independent. I don't think it's ever, this is always independent. So this is something they would just read on their own, and they would either dictate it to you, or it tells you exactly what you need to do for experiments or for answering questions or different things like that. It's very clear in here what you need to do. But these 2 pages is all you need for 1 day of school, and it is plenty rich enough, and it is a very good, complete program. Okay, so that is my review of Heart of Dakota's Preparing Hearts for His Glory. I hope this was helpful for you to be able to see inside the curriculum and see how it worked for our family. It is definitely a curriculum that we loved, and it was such a great big step of independence for my daughter, and I love that, especially having other little ones that were coming up behind her doing other guides. So I would definitely look into this if that's something that you're looking for in your homeschool, but it's really great. And like I said, I will be reviewing all the other Heart of Dakota guides that we have done in the last few years, so that will be coming up soon. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and click the notifications button so that you are notified every time one of my new videos comes out. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.